everybody, it's me, Laura, and today we're going to be doing my Halloween spiders. That's right, it's getting closer and closer to Halloween, and I really couldn't help it, but I have to do these guys. I absolutely love them. So right here, I'm taking some scrap clay. So I'm just using whatever I've got on hand, and I'm going to create a mold of my spider body. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, why not use maybe the mold maker stuff? Well, it's too flexible. I need a hard mold. So to do that, I need to just use my plain regular clay. Right here, I'm creating just a body out of my clay, one that I really like. And I want to say this thing was about an inch and a half long. And I decided I was going to go ahead and make a few more than just one. In fact, I was kind of thinking, I do like the larger one here, which was at an inch and a half long or so, and then I just scale them down accordingly. Well, the more I started doing that, I realized, by the time I got to the tiny one, I was like, do I really need this size? Do I really need a mold of this? Because you might as well just go ahead and make it all out of clay, because there's not that much more there anyway. So I'm really, through this whole video, I'm going to be dealing with the largest size that I created. Okay, so here I have this brick of scrap clay, and this thing is about 1/2 of an inch thick. And I'm just going to place this down on my tile piece, and the little pods that I had made beforehand, the biggest one, we're just going to go ahead and sink that into the clay. But before we do that, I'm going to use my baby powder and make sure I brush that on the top surface. I want to be able to get that pod back out, okay? I don't want it stuck in there. I mean, I could go ahead and bake it with it in there, but then it might be just permanently attached. So let's not do that, right? And say we did. So anyway, I'm going in here. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to eventually just lift out, once I get this kind of cut around fairly decently, take off any excess and reuse it for more. But I'm going to go ahead and lift out this little, this pod piece that I had created, that I had baked, which was my guide. And then once I have that, this way then I'll have my mold for my spider. And I'll go ahead and take that piece now and bake it. From here, I'm going to go ahead and create a couple more of these molds from the smaller pods that I had created. So go ahead and sit back and watch my hands talk, and then we'll move on. Now we're going to go ahead and take some tin foil, and I have some leftover Dove wrappers, which I hold on to these things. I mean, I love my tin foil, right? I mean, it creates great forms for you to go ahead and have your clay cover over. But anyways, I'm going ahead and using my little clay mold now, and I'm going to take tin foil and push that into my mold. And this will help me to eventually form my little spider body. Now that I have my spider bodies kind of completed up where I've made the forms, I'm taking some of that scrap clay again and I'm just wrapping that around my tinfoil form. I'm also using my scissors here to kind of like take off any excess, scrap clay I have on this thing, and then I'm just forming it so it looks really nice and neat all the way around that tinfoil form. Once I have that done, I'm going to bring in some of my clay canes, and I have quite a few, so I have so many to pick from. I have a nice bullseye here. I thought that would be a good one to use. Actually, a couple bullseyes, and just some other canes. So I would say, take some of your simple canes, whether it's a petal cane or a bullseye or just even a fan folded, Skinner blended cane. And from here, we'll just go ahead and start applying each of these canes, and you'll see what I mean as you see me create my own. As you can see here, really most of this is just overlapping cane slices. So I took my bullseye cane, I had pinched it down, and then I just did a slight overlap of the next piece on top of it. And the same with this petal cane that I had kind of made into a point. It was the same kind of concept, except I decided with this, I wanted to make sure I had the same pattern on both sides. Now, you don't have to do that. You could change it up. Say you want to go ahead and do this blue-yellow kind of thing on one side, but then you want to change up the pattern and use a different kind of cane on the other. You can do that too. There's no set rule in this. Just have fun. Okay, so right here I'm bringing in an eye pin, a silver eye pin, and I got a little tiny ball there. And we're gonna push that thing into the pointed end of this body. I needed to kind of do this right away and get it done. Um, Normally, at this point, I've got a lot that's already been covered here with my cane slices, and that was my mistake. I should have actually made that, taken my needle tool and pushed that into the tinfoil body like I did here. And I did that on all the other bodies, but I just forgot, oh no, I should have done that. And I didn't. So I had to be very careful with that first body when I made it. I decided then after that, this is another body, I decided to use the same canes and create a second body using those same canes, but doing it the right way by making sure I make my poke into the tinfoil body before I started adding any kind of clay. Now that I have the main body of this spider created, big thing here, go and bake it. Bake it now, okay? And then come back in, and this way then you can handle that body, that spider body, so much easier. We're gonna go ahead and, here I'm like, add a little super glue. We'll add in the, the head and the legs after that. The nice thing about doing these particular spiders is that it's not solid clay, okay? You can go ahead and make these, these spiders solid clay, but the problem is that when you do that, once it's baked, it's inert, and it's a hard body, okay? With the tin foil, even after it's baked, let's say you need to go ahead and poke into the form, you can do it because there's tin foil on the inside and not pure clay. So as you can see here, I brought in my eyeball cane and I'm just cutting off 2 slices. We're going to put that right on the head there. Once I have that done, we're going to go ahead and we're going to flip this little guy over onto his backside. And I'm just making sure that I've got a little bit of extra clay. I had some extra there. We need to make a little collar for him. To me, I like this because it kind of adheres that head to the body even more securely. It gives me a little bit of something to work with, and it adds a little bit of a decorative thing. So I'm making this little collar that goes around his neck. And once I have that in place, I'm going to cut it flush, and this way then it's a nice little added twisted rope feature to my spiders. I just love adding that in where I can. Once I have that done though, I'm going to make sure I have, or I've poked a hole at the very bottom where that collar kind of joins up with the head. Once I have that done, I'm going to place my spider to the side. Then I'm going to bring in some of my black 22 gauge wire, and I'm going to cut 8 pieces of this. They're about 3 inches in length. And I'm going to take my needle nose plier, and you just saw what I did there. I just kind of rolled it around into a little loop, all 8 of those wires. And then I'm going to move up about, ½ inch to 1 inch or so. And really it's up to you. And I'm going to bend it one way. And then I go further down on that wire and bend it the other way. It's going to form into like a little Z type look. Once you do that, cut off the excess wires. And then we're going to take and poke the bottom of where that ball is on your spider. You're going to take your spider again, and you're going to make sure you take your needle nose, or I should say your needle tool, and poke that hole, and then start placing your little leg wires into your spider. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and start creating what I would call my little pink spider. And I wanted to do some of these spiders where it wasn't just cane work, but that you did see a little bit of a single solid color in these spiders. Now, you don't have to necessarily do it the way I did, but I thought I'd go ahead and give you a few examples of just a couple of different designs that I have done in my spiders. So here I'm just bringing in some of that pink clay. I rolled this out on a number 4 setting on my Atlas pasta machine, and then I just placed this down over the scrap clay that I had wrapped the body in. Now I only did it up part way on the body. I wanted to have a little bit of fun with my cane work, but also kind of give it a, like, you know, put it in the context of 1/3 to 2/3. So 1/3 of this body was covered in that pink, and then I thought, now we'll bring in some of that cane work and have a little bit of fun. Now at this point, I will have baked that, spider body, and from here I made a little black ball for the head. I'm then taking a little bit of that scrap clay. I'm going to twist this up because we're going to make that little twisted log again so we can create the little collar for our spider. Once I have that collar made, I'm going to go back in with this head, and I probably should have added in the super glue, and I need to add that in. But yeah, there we go. Add in the super glue, put my little, my head on, and then I've got my little collar on. Once I have that, I come around. Now this time around, I'm kind of curling it into a little circular piece. Now I do that because this way then it gives me a nice place to go ahead and create that little tiny black ball that will serve as the spot where we're going to be putting all of our little spider legs. Now we're going to be creating my little blue turquoise spider, and I took a little bit of my blue clay and I thought we're going to wrap the entire body, and this time I didn't even use scrap clay underneath. And you know, really it's up to you whether or not you want to do that, but I thought I'll give you that option if you want to just not have to do with the scrap clay. I just thought it's kind of nice to have that underpinning part. Anyway, I'm bringing in my turquoise blue clay and I'm wrapping this around my tinfoil form. Once I have that together, I decided to change this up a little bit and I'm going to add in some black and white stripes. So I had some leftover stack canes, and in particular I had a piece of, my stack. I thinned it out and I thought, okay, let's go ahead and use this piece up. So I cut off like a piece of about, I want to say, yeah, it's about 1/2 inch long. And I thought instead of going, I just thought let's wrap this around the body. Let's just see what kind of a design we can get in using this little piece of stripes. Okay, now that we've got most of the cane work I want on this body, I'm going to bring in one of my really thin kind of knitting needles, and right at the juncture points between each of these little petal cane slices that I've put down, I'm poking holes with my knitting needle. Now, the reason why I'm doing that is I thought, and this is a fun part to these spiders, I love this feature. When you go ahead and make and poke little holes in between some of the cane pieces, what you can do is once this is baked, you can come back in with, say, some rhinestone, pointed back rhinestones, and glue those into those little indented areas. With my little spider body that is now baked, I'm going to come in with some of these pointed back rhinestones that I had talked about earlier, and we're going to glue these into place in all the little different indented areas that I had poked. And you guys are going to see it just adds a little bit of flash, fun, and flair to this wonderful little spider. So the new element in creating on the purple spider was going to be a little bit of my extra jewelry that I just have laying around the studio. I always I always have this extra junk jewelry around, and so I figured might as well take a piece and insert it into my little spider here. And really, this is a great way if you have extra jewelry around that you don't know what to do with, it's a great way to use it by putting this into your spiders. Okay, here I'm bringing in all of my little spiders, and I just want to show you guys how you can use these things when it comes to Halloween. So I put the little eye pin on the butt end, right? I know, what can I say? And so he can hang anywhere. And you can do that by just bringing in a little bit of some fishing line, tie that to the little loop on each of the little butt ends of these spiders, and have them hang wherever, in a doorway or just whatever. Now, if you do that right here, you could tell I'm arranging his little legs here, so he will, you know, when you look at him, it looks like the legs are coming down more. I'm doing the same here with this guy. I'm arranging it so that it's almost like if you lay it down flat, it would be more flattened to the surface of, you know, your tabletop. Or like the other guy here up in the corner, he could just sit right on the surface of your table, and I'm not messing with his legs at all. Okay, so this is the end result of creating my little Halloween spiders. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I'm always wondering what you're thinking. Otherwise, I am sending out my biggest hugs to each of you, and I hope you have a fantastic day.